Hey, what's up? This is Paul Russell Parker III. I'm also known as PRP3 The Author. Now, I want to talk about in this video a book I published a couple years ago, 2018, and I really haven't talked about it and marketed it, advertised it. I wrote it because, writing for me is kind of therapeutic. I like to get my feelings out, my emotions out, and I write. Now, the reason why this one is kind of a therapeutic book that I mentioned earlier, Therapeutic Reason for Writing, was I actually started writing it right when I got back from the Iraq War, the invasion of Iraq. I participated in the invasion of Iraq back in 2003 with the 1st Marine Division. I was a Lance Corporal, 20 years old. I'd been in the Marine Corps for almost 3 years at that point, and I was 20. I joined when I was 17, and I took part of the invasion. My unit with the first within the first Marine Division. We crossed the border from Kuwait into Iraq. First day of the war, we fought our way from the South Rumolia oil fields to Nasiriyah to Diwania to near Al Kut or Al Kut. From there to Anu Namaya, Al Azizia, Baghdad. From Baghdad, we formed a unit, and I was absorbed into a unit called Task Force Tripoli, and we continued from Baghdad onto to Crete, on our mission, and that was a lot for someone my age to experience and go through, and it was fine during the war, during the invasion, and when I was fine when I first got back for a while, but things stopped being just fine real quick. Probably even before the war ended, before my war ended, before, because after we came back, it was still going on. But for my portion of it, it was it. That was it. I was done. And, I started having, problems. I started, having problems with feelings, emotions, with thoughts, sleeping, nightmares, a lot of stuff I didn't understand was happening to me emotionally, psychologically. A lot, I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't really have an outlet or a release for what I was going through. I was still active duty. I got back in 2003 after the invasion, and I got out mid 2004, so I was still in for almost a year before I got out after the invasion, and I was hurt over there. Believe it or not, I may look fine, but I did receive injuries during my deployment, and I was going through 6 months of physical therapy or so. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff packed into what was going on mentally for me, due to what I saw, what I experienced, my injuries, my emotions, everything, like how my brain was trying to process it. I guess it just wasn't going too well. So I got out, and that was another fiasco. I didn't want to get out, but I ended up having to get out because, like I said, I was hurt. I ended up going to the VA and whatnot. And one of the things that helped me when I first got out was, well, first I tried to drown it in alcohol. I was 21 and I drank a lot. And like I said, it was a very negative time of my life. And, it just seemed like if I could drink, I could forget it. I could sleep. Like it would be out of my mind. And that only works for a little bit, and it's not perfect. You can't drink and feel like the war is over. It's not going to erase the feelings and emotions you had. It's not going to help you if you come to a stop sign and you want to get out your car before security, because that's what you did during the war. You can't do it. you know, Drinking's not gonna help. Like I said, so it's not gonna make you feel better. It's just gonna like mask things. So I like to write stories every now and then. Even since high school, I'd write like a little story, like a paragraph or two, a page, just a little fun stuff. I would just write to get my emotions out, and it helped. If I felt like growing up, if I wrote something, I put it down to paper, it was out. Like if it was something that I liked, something that was fun, I shared my joy with people. I'm like, hey, check this out, Or if it was something that made me mad or upset or felt I was feeling bad, I'd write, okay, I feel a little better now. I did something about it. I got the emotions out. I wrote it out, ball it up, throw it away. So I kind of continued doing that. I was 21, fresh out of the Marine Corps, 4 years, of service under my belt, a combat tour. I had ribbons and medals and stuff, but I was kind of lost. I had really no clue what I was going to do in life. I enrolled in college at a community college, and I was taking classes. And I was also working at a gas station at the time to help supplement my income because I couldn't. I had to pay for my apartment. I had to pay for my car that I got before I got out, so still making car payments and whatnot. So I remember at this time I would go do my rounds. I would check shelves, make sure things were fronted, check the milk and other refrigerators and see the temperature is correct. And I would sweep, mop, do all the things that you would do as working as a store worker. I wasn't at a cashier, the place I worked at. I wasn't a cashier. I was working not the grounds, I guess, but I was receiving inventory, putting things on the shelf. I was taking care of stock. I was signing for donuts or bread or the different kind of soft drinks that would come in. I would have to take things into the cooler and put them into the little all the soft drinks and waters. I would put them all into the little um, receptacles, and they would all fall in. So what I would do is I would actually hang out in the cooler a little bit longer than I should have been doing, and I would have a notebook with me. Now I want to show you my book. My book cover is a picture of that actual notebook I had. And now, of course, I added the title, the name, the subtitle, and all that. I added all that afterwards. But if you look closely, it's all old and scuffed up and well used. That was my notebook. I had this notebook, and I would take it out, take it, and I'd be in the cooler, and I would just start writing. And I'm sure my manager probably, if they found out, they probably wouldn't have been too happy about it. But it's 2004. Anyways, I would write. I would, it would. I would write things, random thoughts. I would write lists like things I needed to get done, or I would draw like little diagrams. Just get things out. Like I wanted to get an apartment. I wanted to get new things in my apartment, so I draw like my apartment and where would I put this new thing at. And I would scribble, scrabble. I would, write random thoughts, I write memories, just write things down. I don't know. It wasn't exactly a diary. It was more like a journal, I guess. I was journaling, and one thing I noticed was it did feel kind of helpful to write. It felt therapeutic. I felt that when I wrote, when I got my ideas out, when I got my feelings out, I wouldn't be so upset in a way. So I started experimenting with poetry, and I've never written poetry in my life before this. Maybe in high school in literature, I probably had to try like a haiku or something. But I started writing, and I would write, and unfortunately a lot of stuff I would write, I'd rip out of my little black notebook, ball it up, and throw it away. So I would write, tear some stuff out, but keep some stuff. Just depended. Maybe if I felt it was too dark, and I needed to get rid of it, I got rid of it. I would toss it. So um, at some point I stopped writing. I maybe wrote for a couple months, 6 months, a year at the most, and then I just put the notebook down, put it in a box. Life went on. I ended up getting a job. I graduated with my associate's degree, transferred over to university, graduated with my bachelor's. I got married, had kids. A lot of stuff happened. And then that was 2004 when that book went away, that notebook, the journal went away. And 2018, I found it. Um, I moved a lot. I worked a lot. I lived in different countries. I was traveling around doing a lot of things. So I left a lot of things at my parents' house, and in their shed and boxes. So and then those boxes kind of just stayed boxes when I came home, and I retrieved them, but they kind of stayed in my shed. Well, one day in 2018, I was going through things in the shed because we were getting ready to move, and I found the notebook, and I still have it in my house, kind of locked up. I don't want to lose it as all the original writings and whatnot. But it really surprised me because I had forgotten all about it. I written it in books. Before I wrote this one, I had 7 books published at that point, and I didn't even think about when I was doing those books. Didn't I probably would have said at that time, if you asked me when I published my first book, like, this is my first attempt at writing. I would have never thought. It just was out of my mind. It was blanked out. And then I started reading it. I opened it up and I started reading it, and like all those emotions and how I was feeling just hit me like a tidal wave. I couldn't believe it. Like, to read those words that I was feeling and making at those times. I remember everything came back, like the feelings that I felt when I was writing them, the sadness, the anger, the rage, the confusion, the grief, the guilt, everything just came back, hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't believe it. I showed it to my wife. I said, "Hey, this is something I wrote when I was kind of younger. Do you want to read it?" She read it and she's like, I couldn't believe it. Like, couldn't imagine it. I met my wife after I got out of the Marines, way after I got out, after my tours in Iraq or my tour in Iraq. So she really didn't have any clue of what kind of was going on with me and what I went through at that time. So it was kind of eye opening, and there are still things I'm dealing with. I still write for therapeutic reasons to, because I guess the war never really ends for you, it never really leaves you. In some way it's still connected to you, even like on a daily basis. It's still there in the back of your mind, maybe, or something you smell or see, something reminds you of it. Or just like I said, it's never gone. So I decided to go ahead and get it and publish it. I was like, let me go ahead and get these poems out and put it out there. I want people to see what veterans go through, just because some people might not realize what it's like to be with a veteran. Like when they come home, like, why are they different? Or like, what is going on? Why are they doing the things they do? Why do they have these? Why are they having nightmare? Like, why is their attitude different? Why are things different? I don't understand. Well, it's hard to explain why things change, but I wanted to, I guess, in a way, have something that people can look at and be like, okay, well, I understand now why he or she, changed and started acting this way or having these kind of thoughts or actions. It kind of, can help people and veterans realize that, you're not alone, and hopefully that, if you are at the end of your rope, I guess, as you can say, that there is hope out there. There's other people out there who went through what you went through and did what you did and have the same kind of feelings that you have, and there is help out there. There's people you can reach out to, and you may not be the veteran. You may be one of the veterans' loved ones, and you recognize that something's going on. You might say, you know what, something's not right. We gotta get you, to talk. We need to get help. Whether it's you gotta talk to some of your buddies, because your buddies will always be there. You may think that they're not there, but your battle buddies, whatever you call them, whatever military branch you're in, they're there. They're still thinking about you. They still love you. They still, you. If you have a problem, you reach out. They'll be there. So that was my point of it. I didn't alter it. I didn't edit it. I didn't change anything. And I actually didn't put everything I wrote into the book. That's why I said select poems by an Iraq War veteran, because some of the stuff was just random thoughts or gibberish I didn't want to put there. So I just put mainly my attempts at poetry and things that I thought would be good for people to see or hear. So that's all there. And like I said, it kind of helped me get through a point in my life that I don't really think about that much often. And I'm glad that I was able to move past it. So this is that book. It's called My Book of Poetry, Select Poems by an Iraq War Veteran, and it's by me, Paul Russell Parker III. Now, I'm going to read the back cover to you. It says, My Book of Poetry is a collection of poems by an Iraq War veteran. The author participated in the 2003 invasion of Iraq as a Lance Corporal with the 1st Marine Division of the United States Marine Corps, and it changed his life. Surviving the war was one thing, dealing with the effects of the war was another. Paul Russell Parker III found solace in the therapeutic effects of writing. These poems reflect the feelings and emotions that someone who fought in a war could have after combat, and hopefully they can give people insight into the mindset of veterans. So I'm a advocate of veterans rights, injuries. You got injuries, go to the VA, putting claims and whatnot. And I hope this book, even if it just reaches one person, if it ever helped just one person, I'm grateful for it, and I'm glad I put it out there. It felt kind of daunting, I guess. I was kind of worried to put, my poetry out there because I felt like I'm not good at poetry, and they're not great poems. They're not gonna win me any prizes or anything. But there were something that I never meant for people to see. I just wanted to write, and it was like a reflection of my innermost thoughts and feelings at the time I wrote them. So I kind of put myself out there when I published this. So I'm hoping that you know people can find help in it, or it helped me. So if anything, mission accomplished, I guess you can say. It helped me, so that point of it was finished. But I like the cover, to be honest, because it reminds me of that little book I carried around every day, all day, writing in it. And I'm just sad because it says select poems, because a lot of the stuff I did tear out. I tore out pages. There's a ton of torn out pages, and I threw them away. And I know some of it was probably some real probably some good writing, but it was some dark writing, and you know, and it it served its purpose. I don't need to put everything out there, I guess. I remember one of them with poems. Now that I think back, it was titled, not really titled. I didn't have titles for them, but I call it "The Ramblings of a Madman," and that's kind of what it was. It was just rambling in poem verse, mad crazy thoughts, and like I said, it got those feelings out and those thoughts out, and yeah, it probably would make good reading, but it's gone. So it served its purpose. So if you ever get a chance, you can try Googling the name My Book of Poetry, Select Poems by an Iraq War Veteran. Google my name, Paul Russell Parker III, or you can Google my alternate, my pseudonym, PRP3 The Author. You can look on Amazon. It's all there. You if you find me on one of my social media pages, you'll find my books. My Instagram, PRP3 Author, PRP3 The Author, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, this channel. You search in PRP3 The Author, you'll find me. You'll find my books. So like and subscribe. You'll see other videos like this. I may go into other videos about each poem, and talk about my mindset and what it meant to me to write it, and what it means to me now to read it. So there will be future videos about this book. But for now, that's it. I just want to give you kind of like a little synopsis of why I wrote it and what it's about. Just my thoughts and feelings, my attempt at poetry and storytelling at an earlier age than I am now, during a very dark time in my life. So thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And let me know what you thought. You can hit me up any of my social media pages. Just look for my name, look for my pseudonym, PRP3 Author, pseudonym, however you say it. I should know that. And that's it. So thank you. Appreciate it.